Hey Bomb School friends, it's Karri, the program coordinator at the Bomb School of Art, here with you today for another episode of Artist in Your Residence. Today I want to work on a project with you that is inspired by Kandinsky. It's inspired by his piece called Squares with Concentric Circles. It's a fun project to do because it doesn't really require a ton of artistic skill. It allows you to experiment with colors and kind of just be free and create something that's colorful and unique. So a couple of the things that we are going to need in order to do this project is a nice thick piece of paper. I'm using a cold press watercolor paper. It's just a 9x12 sheet. If you have that, that would be great. If not, you could use any type of thicker paper. You will also need a pencil and a ruler and an eraser, just in case you need that. And we will need some type of watercolor paint. I just got this really low price watercolor kit a few years back. It's nothing too fancy. So anything that you have like that, if you just have like a basic set with a few colors, that's fine too. That'll work. So I also have a little jar of water and a paintbrush as well. And I just keep a little napkin handy so that I can kind of dab my paint as we go along. So step number one, you do want to measure out your paper. So mine luckily is a 9x12, so it's fairly easy to measure out my grid. I just have to go every 3 inches. So you'll want to do that on your paper. Yours might be a different size, so you're just going to have to kind of measure, see what the total is, divide it so that you have 4 squares across the top and then 3 going down the side with a total of 12 squares. So that is what you're going to work on right now. So I'm just going to quickly draw my grid out. I do want my lines to be fairly straight. So one thing about Kandinsky is that he really liked to listen to music while he was working. So one thing that I recommend to you is to maybe turn on some music that you like so that you can listen to that as you're going and kind of just feel the music and whatever emotions are kind of coming out and try to use that music to inspire you with your colors. He tended to do that a lot, so I think that that's a fun thing to do while you're working on this piece of art. So I drew out my grid. I have my 12 squares there. They're ready to go. And this is where the fun comes in. So you're going to want to get your paint and just kind of think about the colors that you want to use in your piece. So I'm going to start with a red. I'm just going to dip my brush into my watercolor paint, a little bit of water, and get some red watercolor on my brush. So now I'm just going to kind of randomly paint my circles onto the 12 squares. I'm not going to do all of them in red. I'm just going to do a few in different sizes, maybe 3. I do want to use different colors as well. So then I would rinse my brush and move on to the next color. Say I wanted to use blue this time around and just draw my circles. So I've gone ahead and finished that step so that you can see. You will need to pause the video or come back to it. But you can see that this is what my completed circles look like. So I just did one round of circles. They're different sizes. They're not perfect shape. You're not going for perfection here. You're just going with the flow. You're just having fun with it. Okay, so I recommend that you let it dry in between your steps so that your colors don't bleed too much when you're going on to your next stage. So for the next stage of the circles, you're going to use a different batch of colors to go around. So I like to use a contrasting color. So for example, if I'm using this yellow block right here, I might want to use a blue paint or a purple paint to go around it. So you're going to very simply go around each one of your circles. You don't have to use a contrasting color. You might want to use something that's in the same family. It's whatever you feel, really. Just let your kind of feelings and your emotions get put into that art. So we're just doing a very basic circle around the outside of our original circle. We're going to continue that process until we feel that our circles are done. So on some of them I did 3 different colors and some I did 4. It just really depended on how big my initial circle was to see how much space I had. So I skipped ahead a little bit and I did do an example so that you can see how mine looked. So these are the circles that I did. I just basically did a very simple color around the outside of it. The next step, you will be doing a 3rd circle around it or keep going until a 4th. So I went ahead and kind of showed you on the bottom here how I did that. So there you go, I did a blue, a red, and a green, and then I finally got to the point then when I was able to color my background. And that part, I definitely let my circles completely dry, and then I painted my background. Like you can see, I did this one and then I skipped that one and did this one just because I didn't want the colors to bleed between. I wanted to kind of have a pretty clear line there as to where each square ended. So I did that, I just skipped, and then I went back and I repainted in the background colors. And I made sure on my final piece that I didn't have the same colors next to each other. I kind of went with like a green in the background and an orange and a blue. So they were all very different in the background so that they each kind of had their own personality and the colors really popped. This whole piece overall took me about an hour to do with the drying time. I had a lot of fun with it because, like I said, I just listened to a little bit of calming music and just painted my circles. If you want, you can switch up the songs in between your layers and see how that goes. See what kind of emotions and feelings come out as you're painting each round of your concentric circles there. So definitely just have fun with it. Get creative, relax. It's a beautiful sunny day outside today, so maybe you want to take your paints outside and just kind of listen to some music, relax, and enjoy the day and get creative. All right, I want you to have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time on Artist in Your Residence.